Sometimes I hate how YouTube works for its streaming system. Like, okay, there's a lot of reasons I hate YouTube for its streaming system. I mean, I'd much rather be sitting here listening to music I actually want to listen to, and just knowing that the VOD doesn't have it in it, which means it's a bit harder for copyright companies to hit me with strikes and stuff. Andy, if you're in chat, thank you for that dono. Literally, I clicked the music on, and then I looked over and I clicked go live, and then I saw that none of the audio in my like HUD was actually moving. And I was like, that's a weird bug. And then I grabbed my headphones and I couldn't hear the audio there either. So it became very apparent. I'm gonna skip this song. Became very apparent that something was up. So actually, I remembered that there's a hotkey to reset. Let me go full screen. I remembered there was a hotkey to reset, and I think we want to change. We'll change the angle a little bit. The drivers for the computer. So I had to look that up and reset the drivers because the audio just didn't boot. My computer's weird. This computer gets weird all the time. Sometimes it works perfectly fine and I'm cool with it, but sometimes, man. So I'm gonna work like right about here, which means we can move that like that. It's always a struggle though, man. Like, I thought I was fine booting everything up. Computer was working fine. It's just like the audio decided not to work. Super weird. Hopefully everything sounds fine to you guys. The audio, and I got that feeling I'm just being screwed here for viewership because of YouTube. Like, if this was Twitch, it would just be you go live, and then if there's a bug, you just go not live and then go live again, and nothing changes. The people who are in get to watch what you're doing, and you just move forward. But no, YouTube has to like shut it down, save it as a file, change everything. It's freaking obnoxious, man. All right, we need to do kind of the inlaid glow. I think that's something we're gonna do next. Get this Liquitex white ink. Get some recording going. What's up, Michael Mullins? Or Mitchell, maybe? Oh, thank you. We've still got a little bit to do, a little bit more toning. We're trying to work on the light right now, the sort of like underglow. And we do need to highlight the pink flesh tones at some point here. Michael. No, yeah, it's just you and me. I just had some technical difficulties. I had a bunch of people pop in right as I went live, but I didn't have audio. And I didn't realize it till I hit the go live button that my audio drivers hadn't actually like booted up properly. So because of how YouTube works, I had to go down so that I could reset my drivers. YouTube closed out the last video. Which kind of killed all the people watching it at the time. And I don't know if they've come back for this one. Yeah, we're just working on the glow. Trying to get all the components that need to be glowing set. There's a few layer paint things I need to do. Hey, you got any projects you're working on? Once we get this guy done, I have to debate whether we're doing the AOS stuff right away, since we've got those events coming up that might involve larger armies. I mean, it happens. It's the problem when you, like, I'm supposed to be living here. I'm supposed to have been living here, but I'm, like, slowly moving over. Which means this computer's constantly being reset, and I'm constantly having to, like, change things on it. It's weird, because it's Windows 11, and yeah, like, a lot of people bring up that Windows 11 is kind of borked. And it is. It does weird things when I reset it on this computer. Sometimes it'll update and then the drivers won't reset properly and I'll have to like manually change it. I'll have to like double reset it to get it to find the internal hard drive. Windows 11 is just weird. I know a buddy of mine updated his computers to it and like all of his editing software stopped working. He was so pissed. Chat disconnected. Successfully connected. What the hell is happening, man? Oh my god. Why does today gotta be weird? Why? I just want to paint, stream, and talk to people. So I'm still trying to figure out what we're going to do when I'm done painting stuff. And I know that sounds like weird to ever be done painting stuff in this hobby. I'm still trying to figure it out. There's a chance that maybe like I just don't stream, right? And I actually get on making videos, which is what I should be doing right now. Like honestly, these projects, I should just be doing them and recording them. While also just working on videos. And not really streaming that much. Because I don't know, streaming feels like it ruins my metrics. Like no one comes here to watch me stream. I don't get anywhere near the viewership on my streams as I do my regular videos. Are we still live? Like, oh, there we go. Didn't make your own faction? I love my Aldari color scheme that I made for my Corsairs. My Corsair color scheme is sunburst, yellow, and orange. You know, like, I like this. I wish this was, like, a thing that took off just as much as my video editing stuff. Like, I really do wish it took off. But, like, I don't think I have a live stream with over, like, 110 views. Which, that's not a good thing. This is a bad thing. I was trying to get this YouTube thing up and running to supplement my income. Because I need to start making a little more. And it was starting to move in the right direction last year, and now it's like, you're not making videos anymore. Good luck. It's brutal. Well, we got things to paint. We got things to do. Hopefully we can get these projects together. What up, Diver? You made it. You made it past the technical difficulties. You did it. I want to try to get some AOS rules stuff together. That's going to be a key thing in the next couple weeks, is trying to get the new AOS rules in video format. Hopefully as well, like a full game. Now, is this a combat patrol you got to play combat patrol, or is this a combat patrol you got because it's cheaper to purchase it than the units individually? To kind of sort out what you're working on. Oh, so this is general building? Not bad, not bad. Age of Sigmar. It's the fantasy version of what we're building right here. They dropped the new rules for the new, I guess, just general seasonal arc. After they dropped the rules, I started seeing videos dropping everywhere about, you know, like, what's Games Workshop doing? They're changing the rules again, which means everyone's gonna hate it and blah blah blah. Like, there's a pretty big cross section of people who are really hoping Games Workshop would just like make a rule set and then never change it, which is weird to me. But we are getting a lot of like the doom and gloom videos, because those do really well in the metrics. But dude, like, it's big channels. It's big channels. And I think the big channels have realized, I think there's something going on the back end of YouTube, or just in general. And I think a lot of people are talking about this kind of as a content creator, like as a whole. With COVID pretty much being like completely undone for like restrictions and people having to stay at home and all that stuff. like almost every, and then of course the economy getting bad. Almost every content creator is like, yo, like the massive fluctuation in their numbers that's been occurring is insane. There's a Twitch streamer I watch who normally has like 10,000 subscribers. Yesterday, he had 8,000. And then the day before, he had like 9,900. It's insane to watch him dip as much as he's dipping. Should I build my paladins all swords or all halberds? So that's the thing, I'm not sure. Like, are you trying to do it for, like, are you building for, like, what you enjoy, or are you trying to actually build meta? Because I'm not too sure the difference. I'd have to double check. Because the difference also factors in, like, what your local meta is. Because I imagine Falchions, right, the swords, I imagine they're more anti-infantry, and then the halberds are more anti-elite. But, like, if locally speaking, you're playing against mostly Space Marines and stuff, maybe halberds. Oh, if it's same profile, I mean, do a blend maybe? That way you can have some cool visual variation on the field. It's like my cultists that I built. Because technically Chaos Cultists all have the same weapon profile, so I was like, eh, screw it. And I have like people with daggers, people with big guns. Doesn't matter, all the same profile. Swords are usually, I feel like, the Grey Knight thing. I feel like halberds are more of a Custodes thing for the visual representation. What the hell? How did the pink get on there? I don't think I used anything anywhere near that pink in color. Oh, good. Yeah, it was just a... No, it does make sense. I'm not like a full detail painter. I am more of like a for the feeling painter. It depends though on the model. Like this guy, I'm probably going to kind of leave my core focus at like, oh, it's just general colors. There's some lighting effects and then we're done, right? Like I'm probably gonna leave it at that. I know there's elements where I'm like, oh, I definitely want, you know, these to be silver, these to be gold, these to be a slightly toned gold. But when you think of doing every little thing, you're thinking of like, oh, well, all these different elements need to be different colors because they would be. I think achieving like a feel, and this is mostly just from kind of like me coming from illustration and graphic design, to go crazy and paint every little thing doesn't really help you as much as achieving kind of like an overall feeling goal with what you're working on. I really wanted to stream, Andy. YouTube and my freaking audio drivers tried really hard to not let me stream, but I really wanted to stream for you guys. So I had to solve some problems. Like I clicked go live and then I noticed I had no audio. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be a thing today, isn't it? So I had to reset my audio drivers. And YouTube loves doing this thing where when you're done streaming, it kind of like collapses the video and then gets everyone kicked out of the room. It's a whole thing, man. These are kind of the moments why I prefer Twitch, but like I can't really do Twitch because my Twitch channel is just dead. It's like fully dead and no one goes to it to talk to me ever. I had like one guy who would show up like once in a while and be like, hey, how's it going? It's like, all right, man. How you doing? Like, it starts feeling weird after a while that it's like one guy. It's like, oh. Yeah, I saw the super chat. Thanks, man. Try to get the angle right here. It's so easy to accidentally bump into stuff you don't want to paint when doing like weird angles like this. You gotta kind of work at it. Well, it's the, my method is closer to the Bob Ross approach. I mean, Bob Ross never really went ham as like a full detail artist. The core goal for him, at least the art that he liked to show people, and we kind of all know him for, that art was more about like getting it done in a way where people can see it, understand it, enjoy elements of it. Like if there's, for me, if there's a fast trick, I'll learn it and I'll employ it. Like my my airbrush OSL, yeah, I'll do that. We'll OSL with an airbrush, that's fine. I've seen people OSL manually. We're not doing that. I'm not that crazy. You got the psychopaths who pinning vice all of their guns. Sir, I want to play the game. I don't want to spend 5 years building an army. I mean, I'll stream as long as I have reason to stream. Cause like, for me at least mentally, cause this like, I only get so many people watching, and then I know you guys like bail after a few hours, cause I mean, life. This is a very weird time of day to stream. I joke about it, but my stream really is like the lunch break stream. For a lot of people. They swing in on their lunch break, they say hi. They watch for a couple minutes, and then they either vanish without saying a word, or they go, alright, I gotta go back to work, and I'm like, yep. Lunch break stream! But if I don't have projects to do, I might have to like... I probably won't stream if I have projects like that I want to get done. No, yeah. Oh, I actually didn't need that. I thought I did. No, yeah. That's the part that makes it kind of good, although streaming adds like a layer to it of me wanting to talk. So like I'll be sitting here and I keep catching myself doing this, and I'll just be talking, and then no one will be talking back, and then I'll look over and it'll be like 0 concurrent viewers, and I'm like, wow, I've been talking to myself like a psychopath for like an hour now. Which, I mean, that is streaming. That's like hands down what streaming is. Like, you need to build that up in you. There's a person that I watched on Twitch for a very long time. I still try to catch his streams when he does it, but he's been going through some stuff. Like, he's actually frickin' hilarious to watch. And he gets like 2 views. And I'll pop in. I'll be the only person in his chat, and I'll pop in mid-conversation. Like, he's talking straight up to himself. Because, I mean, that's how you stream. You gotta seem accommodating. You gotta see like you're conversing. And when someone pops in, they feel like, oh, I'm entering a conversation. Let's see where this goes. It's like, it's just a weird system. So for those who don't know, what we're doing right now is I'm using Liquitex white ink as a sort of capillary highlight system. Basically filling these recesses so that we can go back over it with my fluorescent color so it can stand out. Because dark recesses don't really work well with transparent fluorescence to kind of show them off. You do really need to go back through and start them up as like a bright base. If I get my better microphone over here for this, it'll work better for the Bob Ross voice. Sometimes I'll have Bob Ross's Twitch streaming channel on while I'm doing like my editing work and stuff like that. Getting back into doing conventions has been an interesting thing. I just did the Turtles Day yesterday. I think some of you probably saw my tweets of like just getting some sketch work done while I was there. I sold a couple things, but one of the core things I remembered or that happened during it is people were like, "You got a card?" And then I keep remembering that like none of my socials right now are illustration socials. They're pretty much just like, "Hey, I'm a model painter now." So it's a bit difficult to be like, "Yo, yeah, you can see the rest of my work." And I don't really have like a website URL, kind of like I used to. I let it lapse because no one was using it. Like for like a decade, I think. It had to have been about a decade. I'd been paying for a URL, like a custom personal URL. And just one day I was like, you know what, I want to stop paying for this. Because like no one was using it. I wasn't really getting a lot of traffic or interest through it. So it's like, I'm going to let it lapse. And now I kind of want to be like, all right, let me go get it back. But I recently checked. No, I know Vistaprint. I got to set up some stuff though. I already have business cards, but they're my old business cards. So they're mostly set up for like my old system when I had a URL and all that stuff. But now I've been to my URL and I guess some like, it's like a gambling company. Someone bought it and just converted it into like this really weird website that I'm unsure about. Like I don't know why or like what they're meant for. I do not suggest going to it because I cannot promise it's not going to put a virus on your computer. It's just a very peculiar site that's like mostly animated GIFs and stuff just playing. So I don't think I can get it back because this is one of those situations where a company purchases an already used URL for cheap and then just converts it to something like horrible. I say company, it's probably like a small group of people trying to trick people into giving them money. I highly doubt I'll be able to get it back. Well, no, like I let the site go, so I don't think I don't think I'm gonna be able to like get it back, is the thing. Like I actually let the site go. I should have probably taken some time to figure out how to get like one of those quick format gallery type websites where you just get like a quick website. Like I know how to program for it, I just don't have the time to really sit down and program like a serious gallery. I could have probably like repositioned it to go to like Behance or something, but I kind of don't want to use Behance because Behance is an Adobe website and Adobe is very clear that they're basically just like, hey, we're gonna take all your stuff and use it for our Firefly AI system. And it's like, oh, okay. I don't think I want to use your stuff anymore. I should probably try to figure it out though, so I can get some stuff back up and running. I have, let's check chaos-based units or days. I'm mostly chaos because I'm Thousand Suns, I'm Chaos Space Marines, and then because I'm Thousand Suns, I'm also Chaos Demons, because we have people back there, of course, that I do for Chaos Demons. What we've done in the past, though, is because I play Kill Team, I do play a bunch of different stuff, at least there. So people have seen me paint my orcs. I think I painted my my scouts on stream. I'm trying to remember who else I painted. We still have to paint my breachers on stream, so that'll be fun. No, yeah, it's hugely a problem. Because they're taking advantage of the fact that our political system is so slow on the uptick, but also that most likely our political system is not going to change it. Because it's a very lucrative concept to allow companies to do the whole AI thing, and these companies tend to fund our political structures. So they're usually given a lot of leeway to kind of do whatever the hell they want. Because if there was actually, like, there was talk for a little while there of like, okay, if a company is going to use AI, it's going to be taxed differently because it's going to have to support programs for like unemployment. Because if the whole point of AI is to make sure you don't need a lot of employees, that means you're not going to be supporting the economic system in a country, which means you're actually a burden to the country, which means you're going to need to pay more in taxes to allow other social programs to work properly. Was the idea. Like, people were talking about that, and then I haven't heard a thing about it since then. Which is a little bit crazy. Little nuts. That they kind of brought up the real issue with it, and we're like, yeah, we got to figure this out. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then, like, no one's talking about it anymore. Because that's kind of a problem. Yeah, if you're gonna steal from just everyone, you're gonna have to pay in to something that helps them. Like, this is a thing. But, I mean, we're not talking about that anymore for some reason. I forgot to do the little pistons on the arm. If corporations are people and they just stole, if a person goes to DeviantArt or whatever website and takes the artwork and uses it in something that gives them money, that person is now susceptible to a, like usually a trademark or something lawsuit. So if they're people, then now they're open to lawsuit. Like, this is the problem, because they're people when it benefits them, and then they're not people when it doesn't. That's the issue. How are we gonna do this? I think I'll do the piping in red. And then we're gonna figure out a different tone to hit the little container back here with. Which is kind of the core issue. Like, that's genuinely a core issue, is if they have the same rights as people, what happens if a company's neglect gets, like, a town of people, like, killed or makes them have cancer and stuff like that, and it's easy to link the problems to all of that. Which person goes to prison? Is it the whole company? like, do they all go? Do they have a fall guy? Can there be someone employed at a company who has to take the prison sentences? It'll be like a made man and mafia type stuff. Yeah, either way, I gotta figure out. I need to, I don't know, I might need to make new socials explicitly for artwork. So I can have a kind of a centralized source. Like, I gotta think about this year. Is if I want to put the effort back into trying to build my presence up as an illustrator again, and how we're going to approach doing that. Well, I think we're going to tone the fuel tanks in like a different metallic. I got to find my warp block bronze. And then we got to maybe do a different tone as well for like the sides. I got back into playing Warframe. I really need to not play Warframe right now. It's kind of my my Warframe anonymous situation here. I'm a Warframeaholic. I really shouldn't be either. The game annoys the hell out of me because it could be amazing and it could be like the greatest thing ever if they actually focused on a reason to be doing any of the things in that game. I have played that game thoroughly. Like, I'm end game, if there is such a thing in Warframe. But the issue is there really isn't such a thing in that game. Oh no, dude. Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. There's so many grander issues going on. From like modern perspective. But yeah, like I think, at least from the art, like the illustration side of things, I would probably want to make a website that's a lot closer related to how like a lot of the artists I know make a website, where it's, here's a gallery, maybe I develop a couple products that are third party, like if you order them, it's kind of like a made to print situation that also is sold through my website. It's like front end, you could click like shop and then go do that. Like, I feel like I need like an actual website. Dude, Warframe is my I think 2,500 hours guilty pleasure. Next to World of Warcraft, it is probably my highest played game. And I don't play World of Warcraft anymore. Like, that says a lot about World of Warcraft in my history, is that I'm pretty sure World of Warcraft beats all the games I've ever played still to this day, in terms of hours played. Like, there were weeks where I would log into World of Warcraft. I'd go to, like, a friend's house, and we would log into World of Warcraft on, like, Monday, and we wouldn't log out properly. Like, when the servers reset, and we would log right back in. But I played Warframe the first day it came out. I was playing that game when, like, the only thing... there were, like, 7 Warframes you could play. None of the story was revealed, and it was, like, a horde mode. That was, like, the only thing the game really had, was just, oh, here's a horde mode. There were, like, 2 tile sets to play on. The whole purpose was you would pick a frame at the beginning, and then you could go around and you could farm up to get the stuff to make the rest of the frames that you didn't pick. And that was it. That was the whole game. I remember I had a Loki. My Loki had a Snipetron. Oh god. Ragtime. I need to turn off the ragtime. Oh no, I want to change. What's happening? Oh, that does suck. That's the, like, I want it to be good because mechanically speaking, it's not a bad game. It's just, there was a time in Warframe where they were like, a lot of people in the community were like, dude, there's nothing to do. You build up this incredible thing. You min-max the hell out of it. You spend all this time building, crafting, upgrading. Like, you'll spend thousands of hours in that game trying to get to a quote-unquote endgame, and then there's nothing to do. And that's still kind of the case. The community sort of developed things to do. In particular, I believe the core of it is something called like triple Eidolon runs. They call them like 3x3s or something. It's sort of like you have a time frame where you're able to fight the Eidolons on Earth, and your goal is to try to kill as many of them, or actually capture, I guess in this instance, as many of them as humanly possible. So your whole goal is to be built so that you can run Eidolons as much as possible, which I think is kind of dumb. Like, I don't enjoy that as an idea. But then outside of that, there's just like, I don't know, there's nothing to do. There's like a weekly mission you can run and a daily mission you can run. That's about it. Probably gonna uninstall it soon. Like, I ran the events, that was kind of cool. I watched TennoCon, so they did show off what they're gonna be doing soon, which The direction they take this game in is always so weird. They're finally revealing the Nemesis system for the Infested, but apparently the way it's going to work for the Infested is you're basically fighting a boy band. Like, they're writing it off that in 1999, all the things that were changing on Earth to make the Warframes happened. There was this boy band on Earth who got infested, or like there was a virus that knows their music and then made amalgams of them or something. It's a weird concept. So that's their thing. Like the Nemesis system for the Grineer, it was actually like a monster. Like it was a person who was mutated beyond his means to basically try to kill you. The Nemesis system for the Corpus is the Sisters, which, yeah, I mean, they're kind of like hunter type people, and it's like, all right, that's kind of cool, I guess. Now they're like, oh, infested boy band, and it's like, oh my god, what? Why? Why? It's just so weird. So we did Dark Oath for the first tonal difference on the metal. I kind of want to do, or if we did Fire Slayer, that's right. We can do Snakebite Leather on the other parts. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of what they're about to do, but I kind of don't, because they're finally giving us the actual origin to the main story. You're going to be able to experience the proto-frames, which is the people before they were transformed. Which, that's really cool to me. That's the story I think a lot of people have been waiting for, is to see who the suits were before they were basically transformed via a virus. A lot of us were kind of interested in that. We're going to need to let this contrast settle. Well, I think the core of it's kind of interesting, because you're going to be able to interact with them. Now, the first thing they showed made it look like one of the worst elements of Warhammer, or Warframe. Jesus Christ, so tired. One of the worst elements of Warframe was going to be the focus, which is, oh, new content? Well, how are we going to experience it? Oh, you're going to take away all the things we built and force us to have to use your thing that changes how the game feels and how the balance feels. Okay. This is gonna suck. And that's what at first it looked like, and then out of nowhere they were like, no, you're gonna be able to travel with your stuff through time and then interact with all of these people who were like the original Warframes, which that's kind of cool in my opinion, is that like you're kind of interacting weirdly with time. But again, there's no end game. There's no real end game. I was around when they added their first raid because everyone was complaining that there was no end game. But the servers couldn't handle it. They just couldn't handle it. The frickin' servers would just like crash all the time because it's a peer-to-peer. So when you raid, your 8 people are on one guy's computer. And if his internet connection isn't good enough to handle 8 people, which back then it wasn't. Like, no one really had that type of connection. You would just crash all the time, and it sucked. Which Scorpion are you talking about? Are you talking about like the Talos? There's like the Talos and then the other one. The thing that people who play the faction immediately seem to differentiate similar units like us. Nobody else notices. What are you talking about? Like, if someone sees my Thousand Suns, do they know like what the differences are? Is that what we're talking about? I mean, for the most part, yeah. I think a lot of Thousand Sun players, though, declare that their Rubric Marines have flamers when they have regular guns, because for a while, regular guns were better. This season, flamer thing this whole season. But in the prior rule sets, regular guns were pretty good if you went Rubrics. So most people were like, oh yeah, you know, I'm regular guns. And then they were like, flamers now. And rather than buy a ton of Rubrics and make a bunch of flamers, everyone was like, all right, we're not using bolters. These are all flamers. Don't worry about it. All right, so we've got the green stuff to make glow. We got a little bit we need to do on the sides to increase the detailing a bit. Yeah, there's a Talos and then there's its alternate version, which should, oh, I didn't do the bottom one for this, which should also be kind of like part of it. I think part of the kit. How about now? I'm still in range. Sometimes my audio just gets weird because I'm running off of this thing. Right? I have a little microphone on me. Maybe, hang on. It can't be this. Properties, no. Filters. Yeah, I didn't change anything. Let me turn off noise gate. I'm gonna turn off noise gate and compressor, because I'm currently using a compressor technically. So it shouldn't be an issue. The Paladins. Unit of Termies and Unit of Paladins. People look at them and don't play. Oh, you're talking about stuff that looks really close? There's nothing... Okay, the things that would in the Thousand Suns would be Sorcerers. Because there's Sorcerers, Exalted Sorcerers. Those are the two that come in the same box. The only time you'll know the difference easily is when it's on a Disc of Tzeentch, which that's a guaranteed Exalted Sorcerer right now. You can't put Sorcerers on those. But Sorcerers and Exalted Sorcerers, the main thing that you'll be able to notice is if the thing has a Copish, it should be an Exalted Sorcerer. Sorcerers are not allowed to use Copishes. Exalted Sorcerers can, and there's no downside to taking it. You literally don't lose anything. Oh yeah, so if I were to have a squad of Rubric Marines where I was like, okay, it's half Flamers, half Bolters, that's an issue. Unless you actually see the Flamer versus Bolter difference, like if they're all using the same Bolters, and I'm like, yeah, I want to run them as half Flamer, half Bolter, you're going to want actually to have the right visual for it. Because if someone's killing your units and you're going to need to like know what you're removing from the field, it's kind of important that you explicitly go like, oh, you've killed all my flamers versus all my bolters. It's just important. But outside of that, 1,000 Suns are kind of like a simple army. They're a little too basic in terms of their choices. People who haven't fought 1,000 Suns will feel confused for the first time you fight them, but it's not that bad. Like, once you get it, you get it. There's not a lot of difference or issue there. It is refreshing, though. I've noticed this because I've fought a couple 1,000 Suns players in tournament settings where if you stand in front of them and they're like, okay, and they start doing the K-Suns TLDR, and you have that moment where you start to hear them saying it like, oh, I gotta prepare you for this because no one ever fights 1,000 Suns, so there's no way in hell you know how the 1,000 Suns fight. So let me tell you all the shenanigans so that I don't feel bad when I double move my unit. And then I go, sir, 1,000 Suns are my main army. I know I'm not playing them right now because I wanted to try something different, but I know all the shenanigans. The look of relief in the eyes of the person, oh my god. You feel it too, dude. Because tournaments are all like time sensitive, so if you're trying to TLDR your army, you're hoping the person listening to you understands everything you're saying. Because if not, you're not about to have a full-length game, because you're going to have to, like, re-describe everything. And it just takes forever. Color cues are actually why I paint some things the way that I do. I actually paint units differently, depending, because if I have a bunch of like flamer rubrics and they're next to each other, I don't want you to be like, where does the squad end, where does the squad begin? So you'll see like on the field, I have the way I'd been doing it, and I kind of didn't do it for the last 20 rubrics I made, which I should have done. I don't know why I didn't. I have a squad that's blue. I have two squads that are blue. I have a flamer squad and a gun squad that are blue. I have a flamer and a gun squad that are purple, and I have two gun squads that are burgundy. I really should have did stuff like that. You don't earn cash, and even professional level, you don't earn cash in this game. Tournaments mostly are for notoriety. Like a lot of the biggest YouTube channels right now are for teams that go to tournaments and tend to win a lot. So the money you're earning off of being good at a tournament is sort of tertiary. You don't actually really earn it from playing the game. The only thing you'll really earn is box sets, usually, for victory, which mean you can turn it into money by being like, cool, I got a box set. Let me sell this on Amazon or something, or eBay. And yeah, that's fine. But like for the most part, you don't really earn a living just from tournaments alone. Which people have talked about. It is a good thing that that's kind of the approach. Because if you, in a game like this, no, that's fine. You don't have to know anything. I mean, I can try to inform you of some of the thought processes here, Michael. The core idea is that the moment you add money into something, it kind of corrupts it. I mean, we see that in just general daily life. But adding money to become sort of the goal and result of a tournament in 40K makes it so that what ends up happening is people will be assholes. There are ranks. I'm not personally ranked. I've only done a couple tournaments. I play against a guy who's top 400 in the US, which doesn't sound good, but that's out of a very large number of players. I don't beat him often. Sometimes I can keep it close. But he's got all the gimmicks down. But yeah, the moment you add cash money to this scene, you're going to get everyone playing kind of the same, what's considered the strongest army. You're going to get people gimmicking the hell out of everything to make sure you can't, like, win. You're going to get people being so asinine. Because, like, we're talking, like, this is money, right? Like, you're going to get, like, life-changing amounts of money for winning this. You're going to do whatever it takes. You're going to scrape every point, every little thing. You're going to have a judge staring at your game at all times, because if your opponent goes like, I'm moving this guy to here, you're going to be like, oh, hang on, let me measure that to make sure you could even get into combat from there. Like, it's going to become the worst experience ever to play this game because of the fact that people earn money playing it. So that's kind of the core issue. Is we're already kind of in a sweaty situation where you will run into people at tournaments who are like hyper sweats and are obnoxiously, like, they'll get mad at you if you don't know the rules of their team because they expect you to have looked into and studied everything about the game prior to going to a tournament. So personally, I think it's community-wise healthy to not do cash money tournaments. That's not to say people can't. Tournaments and tournament play is kind of like up to the local, I guess, local organizers. So they could do cash money tournaments, but I guarantee you it's going to bring out the worst element of the game. There's always problem players. There's going to be problem players. I went to my second tournament I went to. There was this guy who I got warned about. He has my same name. Like, my same first name. So the whole time we were talking about potentially playing this guy, the team I was on, because this was a 4v4 situation, they'd bring up his name, they would just say it out loud and be like, oh, this guy's kind of an asshole, and I'm standing there. And every time they bring it up, they would then, like, have that moment where they're like, oh, that's right, it's his name too. So they would stop me, like, not you, but the other guy. I'd be like, I'm getting it. Apparently he's known in that scene to be like, turn one, if you do something that makes him go like, I can't win, he'll just pick his army up and walk away. Which will get him straight up, like, kicked out of the tournament. But he still does it. So, like, he signed up for the tournament, and then the day before, and this actually pissed off the tournament organizer, because he had all the teams set up and good to go. And then the day before, he called and was like, oh, I forgot I had to go visit my grandma at the hospital today, so I can't go to the tournament. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. But yeah, you'll get bad elements. You'll get weird stuff going on. The game got more, like, publicity. I sort of, like, after Henry Cavill was like, I like Warhammer, there was this massive spike in publicity for the game that happened. And I think shortly after that, we started seeing way more instances of, like, cheating and people just, like, trying to win at all costs, because it sort of became a little bit more of like an in the limelight type game system. I'll get some corrective gold over here in a little bit. We need to let that dry. No, yeah, like, it's a problem. It's a problem in the system. And the system kind of self-corrects. There's a few people who have done things where it's, like, seen as cheating. And because there's sort of, like, a single centralized way to organize this, which is really cool, actually. Best Coast pairing as an application is actually really cool because it centralizes for a lot of tabletop games the understanding of like who's kind of what. It can rank people. You can see win-loss ratings. You can see if certain types of tournaments, if they've won at. That way you can determine whether or not they're viable to like go to these very specific tournaments that are mostly looking for people who win a lot or who are ranked highly. That's a thing. Like there's invitationals for people who really play like at high level, which is kind of cool. And for people like that, they could just be like, okay, well, we're going to give you a ban. We're going to ban you from events for doing this. You'll be able to, you know, put in a request for appeal after like a year or something, but we're going to ban you for this amount of time. And hopefully maybe, you know, you look inward. Venues also ban people from playing. One of the places I go to kept having this kid show up who would just full-blown cheat. Like every game, he would actively try to cheat the opposing player. Like the person would measure distances to objectives and stuff to be like, oh, I can make it to that objective, you know, this turn because I've moved this far and I'll be able to toe in on the objective in the next turn. And then the person will like kind of walk over and while the other guy's not looking, try to like slightly adjust the objective away from his units so that he can't toe in anymore. Like he would do this stuff. We would constantly catch him doing it. And then eventually the store owner was like, look, you can't come back, man. Like people hate playing against you because you just cheat and make stuff up all the time. And we're trying to show new people who come into the store how this game works, and we kind of want to show them something that makes them go like, oh yeah, I'll play. This sounds great. Like that's a whole thing we do as a group. We try to like make the game appealing to people. And if this kid's in the store and he's just making stuff up and doing shitty things, it's like, oh, this isn't good. No, yeah. The card system could be good. That's a good thing. I think we need to normalize in some situations. Here's a problem, right? So chess clocks. Chess clocks are massively important, I think, in competitive play. I don't see them being used as much because I guess most of the players kind of know each other. And at certain high levels, you'll get people who actually like respect your time. But at low levels and at mid levels, you get the people who, and I don't think they do this on purpose. I need to be upfront about this. I just got out of that one tournament not that long ago where this happened to me with a bunch of new players, and I think like it's not like they were like, oh, I built my army list this way to do this, to be this kind of a bullshit thing. But you have only so much time per game, right? On average, what I've seen in tournament play, people don't make it to the end. Like, you at most get 5 rounds, but you're probably not going to make it to the 5 rounds on average for like really high level play. But in that situation, the thing that matters is the chess clock, in my opinion. Because the chess clock makes it so that in a 3-hour game, both players have an hour and a half. You just have an hour and a half. And if your opponent's taking forever to do stuff, because maybe like shit's getting too crazy for him and it's like overstepping, at the very least, what's going to happen is when he runs out of time, that's it. The game state for that person is what it is. And you, as the opposing player, you get the full amount of time to counteract whatever their current game state is. So you're able to actually like try to win, as opposed to someone bullying you out of all of your time by having too much on the field that takes up a lot of time to interact with. It makes it so that people like guard. Imperial Guard, good Imperial Guard players won't shoot all their guns. They won't. They'll shoot the ones that matter, and then they'll not shoot the rest because they're trying to save on time so that the opposing player is able to do what they need to do at the full extent of time that they have access to. And when I was at this game, 1,500 points for 2 hours, right? I played Imperial Guard. I called it Imperial Guard Jail for the first 2 rounds. Or the first 2 games. And it's where, in turn 1, my movement, shooting, and fighting phase maybe took a total of 20 minutes. But because I was playing against Imperial Guard, their movement, shooting, and fighting phase in total took like an hour and 10 minutes for turn 1. So they put me in a very bad situation very quickly, where I wasn't able to do anything. Like, the final round, we got to like turn 3 or round 3, and it was, I'd have like 2 minutes to do stuff before the game was over. But meanwhile, my Imperial Guard opponent just did like so much. He fired so much. He didn't get any kills, but like he's almost there, and I can't score points because I'm not going to get to the place where I'm able to dump my spells into killing as many of his units as possible to take over the objectives, and it's just like me sitting there like, I can't do anything. I can't win this because you took an hour and 45 minutes out of 2 hours to play your rounds. I took like the rest. I took the leftovers. I feel like had I chess clocked the second guy I fought, if I chess clocked, he would have had 1 turn. And that's it. But he was new. Like, he wasn't doing it maliciously. He was just new. He tried to speed it up, but the way he tried to speed it up is actually something you really shouldn't do. He tried to roll all the dice all at once for all of his, like, each individual tank he would go to. He'd be like, all right, let me roll all of it. He'd roll the plasma cannons, the las cannons. He'd roll everything. You're not supposed to do that at all, because it gives me, the player, forward knowledge of what's about to happen. So if I have defensive options and abilities, I can be like, oh, well, I'll just save the defensive option for this shot that you missed, which is good. And I'll use it on this thing over here. Like, if you save your big shot for the end and I don't know what's going to happen, I have to make a call at an earlier point to maybe not use my damage mitigation functions. So, like, he tried to speed it up, but, like, he was still very new, so he was taking forever to play, which kind of negatively impacted my gameplay. I mean, granted, it was a weird game, just in general. Like, he wasn't the only problem. I also had to contend with the fact that Thousand Suns are a mid-range army, and there wasn't any terrain on the field. Like, you had very small pieces of terrain in your starting points, and that was it. Like, you didn't have anything. It was also randomly generated missions. They didn't already pre-establish missions. So, like, I was getting screwed out of mission pull. I was getting screwed. It was just so bad. I expected to not do well. I definitely made mistakes in round 3. I mean, your brain's cooked at frickin' game number 3 out of a 3-game tournament that lasts 1 day. In 2-hour shifts, your brain is fried. It is over. So I made some big mistakes in the last round. The last game was actually really good because the last game I played, the guy was a veteran, like a veteran player. he wasn't like high-end veteran. Like, he wasn't like, oh, dude, I'm all over the place. I've been to major tournaments, blah, blah, blah. I've been on invitationals. He was just a guy that kind of hung out at the shop, wanted to go to the convention, was brought into play because they didn't have enough people to make it an even tournament. But he kind of knew how to play. He picked the army up that day. He was learning how to play it over the first couple rounds. He kind of figured it out by my round. And he knew enough about the rules to, like, know when to go, what to do, how to position. So it was good. I screwed up. I actually charged with one of my squads when I really shouldn't have. I could have won if I didn't charge. But I charged like an idiot. And that's on me. Yeah, this was in the greater Philly area. But it's not just there. I did a tournament not far from here. It was a 3v3, and this was my first tournament, and I was kind of like, I was stoked. I was happy. You know, finally getting to a tournament. Starting to experience that whole side of things. My first game, I was playing against a group of 3 people who travel, like, all up and down the East Coast to play in tournaments. Like, dear God. No, I made the charge. That was not the good thing. I charged, and I swung, and I was like, well, at least my sorcerers will get some kills. They didn't. I rolled so poorly on the attacks that, like, I didn't kill a single thing, which means I gave him 2 rounds of beating me to death, which is not what you want to do in a game like this. Turn off the recording. Maybe I can zoom out a little bit for you guys. But the first tournament I played, the first group I played was basically a traveling troupe of people who kick everyone's asses at tournaments. Like, they travel. They'll go to tournaments all over the East Coast just to up their ranks in the BCP, Best Coast Pairing system. That's what they do. They want to, you know, get to invitationals, so they got to get some points. Even at small tournaments that provide points, which the tournament I went to was a small tournament that provided points. All right, let's do some of the pink highlights, and then we'll do some of the corrective golds. So I got my ass handed to me. Granted, I was doing a very memey list. I thought it was funny, but, you know, people were building for tournament play, which meant my meme list was not going to survive. But then the last game of the day, I went against a Monster Mash Tyrannid list. And the kid that played, like, that was the first game I didn't make it to the end, which was very weird to me. And it felt a lot like the person I was playing against was constantly trying to refigure out, like, rules and statting for his stuff. And then when he rolled, it was so shady how he was doing it. The dice he was using was the dice itself was a light brown, and then the numbers on the dice were dark brown. That is so shady. And he would roll on the table. He didn't have a box, which that's usually common courtesy, is to roll in a single box. That way, like, both players can see what's going on and be able to confirm dice rolls. But he was like, oh, I'm gonna roll old school. I'm just gonna roll on the table. And he would roll, say what happened as he was picking the dice up, like almost immediately after. I was like, oh, okay, something's going on here. Because I couldn't see the numbers at all because of the dark brown on brown. Like, I just couldn't see the numbers. Oh, we didn't do the back yet. He didn't have... I don't think he had a Carnifex. I think he was mostly just using the new monsters. I think like the Haruspecs, stuff like that. I think a lot of people have universally decided that Carnifexes aren't that good in this edition for some reason. I think old One Eye is usually used because he's very hard to shift as a unit since he heals. But for the most part, I never really hear people using Carnifexes. They use Norns now a lot. Norns are kind of the new Carnifexes. I have a buddy who loved Carnifexes back in like 5th. He loved them so much. He has all the old Carnifex models, which is great. But the way he played them back in the day, he paid for the toughness increase. Most people would pay for the armor increase just to be obnoxious, but like he paid for the toughness increase because we talked about it. We talked about sort of like the min-maxing of that army, and we realized that against a specific level of enemy unit, if you increased your toughness, the enemy couldn't harm you with anything less than like one of their big guns. So they had to waste big guns, because at the time in the local meta that I had near me, the big guns were always ordnance. Like if you could take ordnance, you took ordnance. You needed ordnance to, you know, deal finishing blows to large squads of people. But the ordnance was also adaptable because most of it was really strong as well. So you could kill a tank with it, but you needed to kind of split your output damage. You'd have to be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna fire my ordnance because your horde into your horde because your vehicles are so weak that I could probably kill them with other stuff and not worry about it. Or your monsters were so weak I could probably kill them with other stuff and not really worry about it. Just saturation fire. And then when the person he was fighting against, he fought against an Imperial Guard guy once, and the Imperial Guard, he fought other Nids, so he kind of knew that if the Carnifex didn't increase his toughness, he could probably kill it with las guns, because the las guns, he'd roll like 1,000 dice, and if you roll 1,000 dice and wound 20 times, your opponent still has to make all those saves, which he's probably not going to do. But then my buddy was like, according to the strength v toughness chart, you can't even wound my guy. And he was like, oh no, it's over. Oh, okay. Later, Michael. What time is it? When we get this guy done, I don't know if I want to continue painting today or not. Tomorrow I am doing a spearhead. I'm actually going to the spearhead event tomorrow. It's the hope. It's the plan. I've got everything packed and ready to go. The store was open, which means the guy that runs it is no longer sick, so that's good. got the camera ready. I could go get a ton of footage. The hope is that I can find a good enough angle during one game to get as much just like over the table B-roll as possible, and then I can attempt to make a battle report of it. The trick is, of course, I'm not going to have like a dice cam, and I'm pretty sure people are going to be pissed about that. Not seeing dice rolls. Everyone seems to want dice rolls for battle reports, and I get it. It's cool to see those. Okay, if you're gonna collect, like if this is it for you, like if you're gonna collect, your goal is to basically get as many units as you can possibly field for most of the stuff. Sometimes you can cut down, like for me with my Thousand Suns, there's almost no reason for me to go 3 Helldrakes. Like, why would I want to go 3 Helldrakes? It's not a thing. It's not viable. I could technically go 3 Forge Fiends, but I probably wouldn't want to go 3 Mauler. I wouldn't want to go 3 Mauler Fiends. The core of it was I definitely needed all my Sorcerers, all my Exalteds, all my Infernals, Ahriman, both versions, Magnus. Like, there's usually a core that's like, I need to collect this. I need to have access to this. This needs to be everything, right? So you'll have that moment where you kind of realize that you need to do that. But, that being said, there's definitely this need for you to have access to like all options, right? Like you would want as many Dread Knights as you could possibly take, probably. You would want as many of like, what do Grey Knights even have? Let me take a look. The place where it gets weird for collection is whether or not you want to collect allies. Like, do you want to collect an Inquisitor type situation for them? Yay or nay? Do you think it'll be useful? Who knows? You might not want it. You might want it. It depends on what the new codex has in it. But data sheets wise, I mean, you probably want a good bit of the Terminators so you can have access to them, like the Brotherhood Terminators. Probably want a good bit of Strike Squads. You definitely want like a handful of Rhinos, maybe. I mean, currently in the current situation, if you can get Land Raiders and find a way to make them augmented, like if you can swap to the different versions of Land Raiders, that's probably super useful. Aircraft you can kind of do without normally. Some people have been doing some incredible things with, I believe, the Stormhawk? Is it the Stormhawk? No. No, it might be the Stormhawk. There's an aircraft I've seen people using that seems to actually be pretty good. Very nice. Stormhawk, Storm Raven, Storm Talon. Venerable Dreadnoughts, probably. I've definitely seen Nemesis Dreadknights. Paladins, like you said. You might want a Purgation, maybe, or a Purifier. There's Servitor options. A good blend of leaders. You'll definitely want Kaldor Drago, I imagine. Maybe Grandmaster Voldus. But then you kind of got to figure out like the rest of that, like what you think is good to just have on hand. So you can kind of swap in between stuff. I think it's the Storm Talon that people use. Let me take a look at the Storm Raven. Storm Raven and Storm Talon, I guess, are the same thing. Just different loadouts. Either way, airships you probably don't need. Because I feel like Grey Knights are mid-elite. Like, I think they're probably about the same level of elite as Thousand Suns versus, like, the rest of the factions. So you're going to have less, which means you're going to need to focus on other stuff. Oh, no, they can be absolute garbage, which means that at the very least, currently in 10th, you won't want them, right? Like, you won't want them right away. But over time, you're going to... Because you have to always keep in mind, Games Workshop games, the rules change. Out of nowhere, the Purgation Squads and the Dreadnoughts might actually be useful. You're saying you don't need Rhinos, but tactically, Rhinos right now are considered, like, very high tier in terms of what they're capable of. Let me grab my gold here. Hoplite. They're considered very high tier because even if at the beginning of the game, right, if you put a squad in the Rhino at the beginning of the game, you can then drop it out of the Rhino at the beginning of your turn, move it to where you want it to go, and then now you have just a spare Rhino to go to like another point and just sit on it. All right, I'm gonna actually glue this. This is the second time that's fallen off. Freaking hate Tamiya, man. It works and then it doesn't. So it just comes down to what you want. I never wanted Rhinos for my Thousand Suns. I have 2 with a third that's adaptable into a Rhino. So it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, I can use this now. We can do this. It is what it is, though. You got to kind of make your decisions as you go. Like, I have access in Thousand Suns to Defilers. I never wanted a Defiler for my Thousand Suns. But now that I'm playing Chaos Space Marines as well, go for it. Yeah, but I think the rules... So you're saying strike squads. Let me see. Strike squads, purifiers. Or purgators. Purgation. So sanctifying ritual, psychic. If you control an objective marker at the end of the command phase and this unit is within range, that objective marker remains. So it's sticky. They just get sticky and then teleport assault. Cool. Purifiers. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. If this unit is below its starting strength, and add 1 to the wound roll if this unit is below half. That's a little hard. That's closer to how the sisters work. And yeah, that kind of sucks. You probably don't want that to be the situation in a squad that can only be 10 people. It's not great. Purgation. Astral aim. In your shooting phase, ranged weapons equipped by this model in this unit have indirect fire ability, provided the target of that weapon is visible to 1 or more friendly Grey Knight Psyker units. So you would put a... Is Strike Squad Psyker? No. No, they are. So most of your stuff is Psyker, just like me. Just like me. So you'd have a squad that can gain indirect, which kind of is awesome, but then, like, now that indirect's changed, it sucks. I would definitely declare that this unit sucks heavily, because you'd have to be hitting on a 4 with the indirect. Although incinerators, I don't know. I don't know. Side cannons, 3 shots, hitting on 4s, indirect, 24 inches. Yeah, if they had a longer range gun, I feel like they'd be better. But at 24-inch range, I don't know. There's probably not a lot you can do. Strike Squad gets Scout 6. Nice. Your basic unit gets frickin' scouting maneuvers. It's crazy. Scouting is so strong. All right, let's get some corrective gold down. But like, I've got units collected for 1,000 Suns that I don't think I'm ever going to use. Like, my Hellbrutes, I don't think I'm ever putting a Hellbrute into my 1,000 Suns ever again. Hellbrutes are just not good in 1,000 Suns. I've seen some people try to claim otherwise, but like, it's not good. And that's the thing, I've collected them. So maybe when the codex drops, if they're like, oh, by the way, we've decided to enhance the Hellbrutes to actually be useful, I'll have the Hellbrutes on hand. I can just use them. Like, is Grey Knight's going to be like your army? Are you going to be known locally as the Grey Knight guy? If that's the situation, you do eventually want probably everything for them, just over time. Like, I'm basically the 1,000 Suns guy, even though I also have, like, Gene Stealer Cult and all that other stuff. I feel like it confuses people when I show up with, not Gene Stealer Cult. I walk through those doors with my or not 1,000 Suns. If I walk through those doors with my Gene Stealer Cult or my Knights, people are like, oh, you're not no Magnus today? And I'm like, nope. You're gonna fight something you didn't expect. Keep you on your toes. Yeah, that could work. I think, what do I have? I think I have 2 full-size squads of Terminators. I might have 3 for Rubric Marines. For a while there at the beginning, everyone was like, yo, Terminators are actually really good for Rubric Marines. And then everyone was like, oh wait, no, they're super overcosted, my bad. So like, I keep trying to use them because I am interested in using them. I kind of like them for one of their functions of like causing rerolls to occur. But goddamn, they've dropped their points cost I think twice now, and they're still so overcosted for a unit that literally like can't kill anything. I think we're actually done. Like, I think he's good. Mission complete. Defiler done. He's so beautiful. And now I gotta figure out how to tie him down. I think I'm just gonna get 2 really big magnets and like 2 strings or something between them, so I could put the strings around him and then just put the magnets down on the piece of metal to hold him. And like you can stretch them out to like pull him down and then just be done with it. That way he doesn't slide around in the box. Daughters of Cain look cool. I like the idea of them. I don't think... There might be one person who plays them locally who maybe just started collecting them because of the new rules. Because they're not common. Alright, what do we do next? I can't really do the rest of my AOS stuff right now. It's 12:24. I've streamed for 2 hours. I could just take pictures of this and then go get some food. And then head back home and maybe start planning a spearhead video, or I can do maybe the plate work on this guy. Because if we do anything like the Forge Fiend had, I did a different color back plate, and then every plate outside of that was done differently. And I gotta double check, but I'm pretty sure my Forge Fiends, let me go take a look. Pretty sure my Forge Fiends were, where did I put them? Are they going back again? You guys probably hear the AC. So Forge Fiends were purple armor, burgundy backplates. We could do something different with the Mauler Fiend. I'm thinking blue armor plates, purple backplate. Where's my Asserman? No, soul. Don't wanna. Where's Asserman? There we are. No, yeah, they seem fun. They're pretty cool. The team that is in Underworlds. Underworlds is actually really cool with them, I think. Because Underworlds, normally you're only allowed to like attack once, but the Daughters of Cain have like a built-in combo function. Off the recording. They have a built-in... Actually, I'm going to take a look at how much space is left on my hard drives, because I've been recording a lot to my hard drive recently. It's a 2 terabyte? That's a 4 terabyte. Video. Stream recordings. Oh, dude, I've got so much video in this folder. Holy crap. Holy crap, this is so much video. We gotta start doing stuff with this. My headphones. Oh no, it's ragtime again. Oh no, it's jazz. Okay. I was worried. I thought I was hitting you guys with ragtime. Let's get these plates done. Get this guy started. Purple swirl. But yeah, most of the people local to me are sounding like they're going night haunt, which literally means they're either going night haunt or they're going corn for AOS, which both of those things are basically counters to Disciples of Tzeentch. Corn is literally, hey, are you a caster? Well, we get all these benefits against you. And it's like, cool, you get a benefit against everything in my entire army. Thank you. And then Night Haunt's like, yo, you rend? And it's like, yeah, man, one of my main things is rending. Isn't that cool? And they're like, you don't rend. And it's like, oh. Oh. I kind of want to swing by the local store, though, and see if there's a different Endless Spell box. Apparently, my Endless Spells freaking suck. The more I look at them, the more I'm like, wow, they gave the spellcasters the worst Endless Spell list in the game. I mean, other people probably have it similarly bad, but the thing is, I have the General's Handbook, so I get to see the universals. And holy crap, the universals are just so much better than mine. And I think a store that's not far from me, the one that I go to, I think the last time I went there, they had one of the universals that I want. So I'm going to go there today, I think, after this, and I'm going to check. Because if they do have a universal box that I want, I'm getting it. Because if we're going to play, like if we're actually going to do a league at the store, I want to maximize my potential chance of winning. Like, I know I'm going to be going into, like, the worst possible element of who to fight, right? So if I'm going to do that, I want to do it with an Endless Spell that works. Because Endless Spells are really cool. Specifically the Chrono ones or the Elemental ones. And if I can get the Chrono ones, that would be amazing. Because Chrono has two, like, monster units that go around and just wound stuff. The swords, the flying swords, are just so good. They have so many attacks. They mortal you, crit. And people can't ward against the mortals. You're not allowed to. So the mortals I throw out there are the mortals you're going to get hit with. That is so good. Good ones, because you're the blood ones, right? Like you get the blood snake and all that stuff. My endless spells are: you can summon a book. The book cannot move. You have to be within 3 inches of the book to gain its benefit with a sorcerer. The benefit you get is plus either 1 or 2 to your casting roll. You get to declare it if you want to use it. And if you declare it, you have to take a test. If you fail the test, you take mortals. Like, that's not that good for an endless spell. That's kind of shit. And then the other one is you drop a sigil, and the sigil just starts debuffing everything near it. Now, it's not the worst because you can summon it 12 inches away, but it does have a 9-inch range around it. And the debuffs are absolutely random. And can technically buff the opponent a little bit. Depending on how poorly you roll. Not in Spearhead. League that's like a... We're going to do like an actual league. Like a match play league. Is the plan, to my understanding. Which means the list... I need to finish the Fate Skimmer and I need to finish those 3 Flamers. And then I need the alternate Endless. Because the alternate Endless spell is just exactly what I need. You can't take Endlesses, though, in Spearhead, which sucks, because it would be cool if I could. I have some, conceptually, in Spearhead, they'd be decent to be used. Because if I could throw a Sigil down in turn 1, and just screw with my opponent and then not move, I think I could be okay. Chucking down a Simulacrum as well and charging it at my opponent would be nice. Especially if not everyone gets Universals. But Universals, the Chrono ones are just so good for me that I think I want to go Chrono. Chrono feels really strong. Yeah, but I think in the handbook, I think the Endless is still there. They're just considered manifestation in like what is it? The keywords. That way there's a centralized keyword for everything. Asserman Blue. Because I'm pretty sure the handbook still has them filed under Endless spells. If I can get my hands on the elemental spells, though, oh my god, the elemental spells would be perfect for me, I think. You can get one that heals, which is incredible, and then like all the damaging ones do so much damage from ranged and melee. The flamethrower one can shoot in combat, so if you get it into combat in a turn and it survives, in the following turn, I can still shoot with it. Like, that's so good. And its melee is actually stronger than its shooting, but its shooting is really strong. It's so strong. It's spiky, but it's strong. Because it's 2d6 attacks. So, minimum 2, maximum 12. An average of about 6 or 7. I'm actually kind of glad I got the smaller Fiend when I did. Using my MVBs. I don't know. Are you talking about me specifically? I don't think so. Because what you're referring to is the Curseling. And I think they just gave the Curseling an ability that the the Corn army gets. Although the Corn army supposedly is better, because the Corn army reduces the wizard level of something. Like the way the spell works is you can reduce wizard level. But whereas the Curseling only reduces it for the phase or the turn, which basically means if you're a wizard 2 and I counter your first spell, you can no longer cast a second spell because your wizard level's down. Which is kind of cool. It still comes back, but the Corn one negates it permanently. And supposedly you can negate to like wizard level 3, which means a Corn player could ostensibly make Kairos wizard level 0 for the rest of the game. And I kind of want to learn how that works so I can try to maximize the prevention of it. But as far as I can tell, spell steal a control of your mana spell. You have to still mark who cast it, because if that person dies, the spell vanishes. But it's not like I could summon a Simulacrum and then have someone be like, oh, I killed the guy, I'm going to take control of the Simulacrum and use it against you. Hi, Simulacrum. No, yeah, I think Wizard 3 is considered like one of the top tier wizard numbers. And yeah, Corn can just shut you off. Like, Lords of Change are only wizard level 2, which means he could ostensibly, supposedly in a much easier way, negate my my Lord of Change. It's one of those things where it's not that bad if the local meta is healthy enough that there's so many options. Like if I'm playing into like ogres and freaking grots and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, we're playing all these cool. But it just feels like I'm either gonna play Night Haunt, which ignores most of my rules, or I'm gonna be playing against Corn, which negates most of my rules and like turns off most of them and ruins a lot of my function. It's like, damn, dude. Why people gotta pick on me? And they're just playing what they've played. Like, it's not like they were like, oh man, we have a... That's weird again. No. Hang on. I'm just gonna turn LCF on and leave it on, maybe. I don't know. It's been okay the past couple weeks. It's only roboted a couple times. Now it's roboting twice in a day. I really got to get my other microphone out here. So you guys don't have to keep dealing with this. Oh yeah. But yeah, it's not like they knew that they had a Tzeentch player in their midst and were like, let's make sure he has the worst time ever. No, they're just playing what they play. If I wasn't there playing, they'd still be playing these armies. It just happens to be that those armies are really good against mine, and I'm going to have to figure out ways to deal with it. I have to find like a gimmick or two that's fun, that works. In particular, I think the Lord of Change resurrecting dead demon squads is going to be a cool thing. I also have to make a list for my Arcanite Mortals. It's probably going to revolve a lot around Warflock. But I do really need to think of Arcanite Mortaling. Not as often as you think. It depends on the person. Like, there's a few people who go to the place I play at where, like, this is their escape. This is what they do every weekend. This is kind of their personality. Like, they work pretty high-intensity jobs, and they make a good bit of money. But, like, the thing they really want to do with their time is play Warhammer. So, like, a few of them, locally, what they'll do is they'll decide, oh, I want to play this army. And then they make a call. Do I think I'm going to have fun painting the models myself? Or do I just want to play the army? At which point, there's like 6 people who go to the store who wouldn't mind making some extra money and are already kind of like in a mood to paint stuff. I think I'll pay them to paint my army. Like, one of the guys paid someone at the store a bit of money to paint like a couple models he was adding to one of his armies. And then he paid the store owner of the local store to paint his, like, basically the start of his Death Guard army. He got like a good bit of points of Death Guard pre-painted by the store owner. But that's because he has money to sling around. But for other people who are like, oh, I don't have a lot of just loose cash to chuck that way, they'll usually just play one army. They'll pick one. A lot of the times it'll be like an elite army. Like if you're strapped for cash, from what I understand, most people figure out how to magnetize knights and then just play knights. Because with magnetized knights, I mean, you're just playing. Oh. Dude, they do that all the time at Games Workshop. If you ever look up the Thousand Sun models, like any of the imagery, if you look at some, there's pictures they have of a Terminator Sorcerer Lord in the Thousand Suns army that is actually fully Thousand Suns themed. So there was this assumption that we were going to be getting a Sorcerer Lord that's very Thousand Suns in theme. The trick is that the model they used is a regular Sorcerer Lord, and then they just put parts from the Scarab Occult Terminator box on him. And that's it. That's all they did. I actually copied it. I did it because you get a lot of extra parts if you're aiming to collect as many Terminators as possible, because you don't need multiple. You only need 3 sorcerers for squad leads. And each box of 5 gives you a sorcerer, so you kind of need both. Like, you're going to get a box of 5, and then you're going to get a box of 4 with a sorcerer, is how you're going to run it. So you always have parts for an extra sorcerer. So yeah, people... There's a lot of, like, actual conversions that get used in the game art to show off factions and stuff, and people are like, holy crap. Then you got me out here merging some frickin' war dogs to make a chaos defiler. It's not a new model, I swear. Get these hind legs done. What is this considered? Oh, it's probably classical. Classical is a dangerous genre to click on YouTube. Because there's a lot of like sort of public access classical songs that are just not good. That they were like, screw it, we'll get them. They're free. All right, let's do the neck and head, and we'll do the other shoulders and arms. Oh, we also got to do the back spike plates. Is this the same song? No. God damn it. I gotta stop dropping this. Am I robotic again? I dropped my frickin' wireless mic. If I remember correctly, the part about these that I hated was the glowing bits, because almost every single spike, claw, and tooth on this thing is going to glow. And there's a lot of them on it. This is a trick someone brought up with Thousand Suns when I first started getting into them. That the gold is just so obnoxious to have to paint that you might as well just focus on doing the plate colors instead. Like, it's just easier this way. Because the gold gets so crazy in detail, especially on the Thousand Suns, that they were just like, yeah, no, don't kill yourself by basing the Thousand Sun unit in whatever blue you want to use and then doing all the gold. Because the moment you screw up doing the gold just edge work, it's over. No, yeah. If you can build a weapon that doesn't require you to have to like fully flex your hand to fire, it's usually a good idea. It's just stuff goes wrong in that situation. On current weapons, like you can just lose control of the weapon or it just won't work properly. So people usually prefer the analog approach to triggering the hammer or the pin. On a gun, just because it's like less things can go wrong. No, yeah, dude, I have 2 Helldrakes. I painted them this exact same way. I actually did them as like a stained glass flow too. On their wings, I picked a spot, like a kind of like an angle, where I would switch from one color to the next. So what I would do is, because I'm using contrast, I would put some of the contrast down, and then I would quickly switch to the other color, and then put it on there so that it would blend in the middle part. That way it was kind of like a multifaceted color. But yeah, key elements and tricks with what we're gonna do here. All the demon flesh we're going to need to hit with white so that we can do the same thing of pink we did with the Mauler Fiend, because that's how I approach demon engine flesh. There's going to be some silver components we're going to need to move, or rather gunmetal components. There's some wire covering that's going to go black. I think. I need to double check my Forge Fiend to make sure I didn't make them go red. Let's get this spike plate paneling done. And I gotta move on. Do the shoulders, arms. I'm not going to get too much farther with this guy. It's not going to be... I don't think he's going to take super long. There's no stream tomorrow, of course. Like I said, I'm going to be at the event. Trying to get a game in, trying to get a recording done. That's of key importance to me. Because I do really want to get some videos out there. I'm a little annoyed I haven't for quite some time. No, if you can build a button system, so it has, for me at least, it has to do with kind of the act of pulling a trigger or that kind of hand motion being on the thing that you're aiming. There's actually a cross-section of people who play first-person shooters on PC where they actually rebind the weapon shoot button to a key on their board. That way they don't accidentally click hard and cause the control of the character to like shift, right? I think this is relatively prevalent in things like Counter-Strike for high-end players. But it's just that notion that when you're playing this action on a mouse or even in trigger format will cause your hand to shake and adjust so that over longer ranges the bullet doesn't go where you want it to go. Whereas if you can actually just hold the thing and then not care about like the action or musculature hand motion that could trigger a tremor, it's like a little bit better for just accuracy and control. So I could see that the Grey Knights do that. I could see it being like a better option and function. Especially when you're using weapons that are like that heavy with that much back kick. What up, Arturo? Oh, we going Caribbean. It's a little weird. Trying to think of which of the genres I input triggered this. I imagine then Google thinks this is hip hop. Because I can't think of anything else it would be. Or would this be pop? We are skipping. Painting's going good. We're done the big boy. I have to figure out how we're going to be transporting him whenever we're ready to play. I have an idea in my head. We probably just go with the idea of 2 magnets with a string attached to them. That way we can kind of put it on the box and on the metal surface and try to like pull it down. Gets a little bit of a hold that way. Dread Knights look interesting. I don't know how they're built. They're just so big with so many parts. It makes me wonder how many of the parts are kind of like that unified part system where it looks elaborate, kind of like how this arm looks really elaborate, but it's all like 2 parts. But yeah, we're planning on getting this done today. Well, not done, but the plate coloring done today so we can be ready next week to try to finish this Mauler Fiend out. We need to get into painting the rest of my demons. I'm going to go check one of my local stores because if I'm going to play in like the larger league setting for AOS, like if we do a competitive league, I want to check the endless spells because I want to see if there's a more worthwhile box at one of the stores near me. They were selling a lot of the endless spell boxes for really cheap because they were just trying to get people to purchase them. I think the AOS community at that store doesn't really buy a lot. And if they have some of the universals for cheap, I'll pick them up because the universals are really good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've seen Ziploc. They usually do just the general sealed bag. What models did you get? Because maybe it's one of those like weird side published things. The Scaventide box that people were purchasing, I think those came in like the regular sealed bags. Yeah, I could see the sealed bags from a second hand, maybe. Third-party seller. Combat Patrol? Which Combat Patrol was it? And did you buy it from Games Workshop or did you buy it from like a local store? Because you also have to remember there's people who do sort of like reprints or like non-GW prints of stuff. Like there's sort of like that dark market, I guess is what some people call it. Where it's similar looking to Games Workshop, but it's like a different process of printing. Was the box already open? Like, was it taped shut in a way where the tape didn't feel like normal? I think most Combat Patrol boxes are shrunk wrap though, right? Shop, not ship. Yeah, maybe. Are all the pieces on all the bracket or the sprues? Like, does it look like some pieces were clipped? What up, Rax? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever gotten bases in like a Ziploc bag or anything. I mean, as long as everything's there, I don't see the reason. I don't see like the issue. You're probably fine.
Poggers.
Poggers. Yeah, that's weird. Normally, if there's like an alternate base that comes in the box, they'll like just let the alternate base free float. I bought a lot of things where there's like mostly 32 mils, and then all of a sudden there's just like one or two 40s. And the 40s are just free floating every time. They're just like in the box. But then all the 32s are, you know, in their own sealed box or sealed bag. Someone call? No. finishing up the armor plate color. Probably going to call it a little early today. Yeah, there we go. So my Forge Fiends are purple to burgundy. And this one Mauler Fiend, which I don't really normally use Mauler Fiends, it's going to be blue to purple. He'll probably be more useful in my Soul Forged list, because you do need some frontline heavy hitters, and that is kind of what he is. Of course, we still have the magnetization stuff we got to work on. Let me quickly double check, make sure there's... yeah, there is some plating. Just get this done real quick. I need to get home. I need to maybe start working on the script for the Spearhead video, start working up the script for the AOS rules video. I need to kind of get on it, push myself to be a little more accountable for what I am and am not doing at what times. Where's the other one? There it is. Gotta get some videos out, man. Boom. I think that's the opposite side. No? Oh yeah, that's 100% the opposite side. There we go. Dude, 100%. Always grind, 100%. I mean, how did you think I didn't always grind? You see what I'm doing here. You see my situation. Ugh. All right, so yeah, we'll need the debate next week, because this is basically good starting point for kind of where I need to go with one of these guys. I need to grab some more Sigvald Burgundy for the other tank we're going to work on. But I do think it's important that maybe we bust out the airbrush real quick. Work on these little guys. Work on the flamers, and then try to figure out the process to get this guy done. I think I have an idea. We just got to pick the right color, because he needs to be pink, and these need to be teal on top. So there's a chance we just do chartreuse, or we do green. I'm not sure. This one's going to be hard, but it needs to be done. He is very key to me making a 2,000 point army of demons. It'd be nice. It would be nice. Thanks for hanging out, though. It was cool getting the Defiler finished. Kind of seeing it in its current state. It's got some nice little details. Got all the glow effects that it needs. I'll try to get some pictures of it. I got a game tomorrow. So as long as nothing changes about that, I will most likely not be streaming tomorrow, because I got to get some recordings. We got to get these videos together so I can start pumping them out next week. And I can't wait to use this guy in an actual game. Till next time, though. I got to go get some food. I'm hungry. Later.